We're going to move to item 3 now, and I'm going to invite Councillor Jennifer Warren to speak on the developer-funded scheme, section 278/D1915, the B4113, Pickards Way, Wilson's Lane, LILO, and the B4113, Longford Road Roundabout, Exhall, Coventry. Jennifer.
Perfectly said. Thank you, Chair. Planning consent was granted on the 24th of May 2022 for the erection of up to 73 dwellings and up to 750 square metres of employment/commercial floor space, comprising of 500 square metres of business-to-business use, including 2,500 square ancillary office and 5,750 square metres of business-to-business. Uses including the 300 square metres ancillary office, complete with access, local area for play, land remodelling, landscaping, attenuation and the diversion of a public right-of-way with all matters reserved except for access. I'm sorry, it's a bit full of numbers and things. This report covers the planning condition, financial implications and the procurement requirements. The scheme will introduce a new left-in, left-out signal junction at the future entrance to the development site on the B4113 Pickards Way, westbound dual carriageway, and an emergency access from the Wilson's Lane. Safety improvements and upgrade of the existing Longford Road roundabout will include construction of a new third gyratory lane and a two-con crossing to be located at the southeast junction arm of the roundabout. The existing shared cycleway/footway is proposed to be widened and extended along Wilson's Lane. The scheme will provide additional capacity to the existing Longford Road roundabout junction to accommodate increased traffic flows to the new development. Safety improvements will be made to the existing shared cycleway/footway, providing for a new signalised controlled crossing at Longford Road. The estimated value of the scheme is approximately 6.4 million. The scheme is subject to a Section 278 agreement and is fully funded by the developer. The addition of the scheme will not affect the overall level of available capital resources. The agreement will also require the developer to provide a bond of cash security. This security is required in the event of a default or insolvency by the developer and will remain in place until completion of the works. The developer is liable here for the cost of any unforeseen changes in the works or construction delays and overruns of the scheme, and this will be fully funded by additional costs. The Council will undertake a review of the developer's design and procure the construction works. The expected construction start date and duration are not yet known. Once the works are programmed, the contract is in place, the start date will be communicated to stakeholders who may be affected by the works. My recommendation that Council approves the addition of the 6.4 million to the capital programme in relation to the Section 278 Highways Improvement section of B4113 Pickards Way, Wilson's Lane, left in, left out junction and Longford Road roundabout, Exhall, Coventry, which will be fully funded by the developer. I propose to move.
Thank you, Councillor Warren. We have a seconder,
Yes, Chair, I second that.
Would you like to reserve comments?
Yes, reserve.
Right, I invite the debate on this topic. Councillor Condecourt.
Thank you, Chair. It might be useful for members to look at page 51, which is a nice diagram of what we're being asked to fund. And on page 51, you'll see some purpley, bluey, dark coloured bits, which is a bit of cycle lane they're adding to the bottom of the Longford roundabout, which goes east to west along the bottom. For those who know the area, you've got the main roundabout for the M6 junction 3, and to the side of that you've got this roundabout, which then takes the local traffic under the M6 to Bedworth, or down to the south into Longford and then to Coventry. This is a horrid area for cyclists, as you can probably imagine. It is a two-lane roundabout where you have to go round, if you're going northwards, you have to go round the roundabout, the two-lane roundabout, which if you don't get in the right lane, you get taken towards the M6. It is not a nice place at all. Going south is fine, because you just go down the edge. And we're now proposing to make it a three-lane roundabout, and we're putting some cycling bits, but only on the bottom bit, only on the Coventry side. So all this £6 million of investment on doing this area up doesn't actually help anyone get to these jobs by sustainable transport, because you've got this ginormous and ever more trafficked roundabout. And there is a solution. It is our Coventry, Bedworth, Nuneaton cycle route that should actually go up on your diagram on the right-hand side and actually give people a route into all these new job opportunities. But we're not doing that at the moment, and we may never do it. And this is the point. Building little bits of cycle lane at great expense and then building giant road projects is not the right way of doing it. You need to actually have a bit of both. And so because this doesn't have any cycle connectivity at all into Warwickshire, into the bottom of Bedworth, I'm going to vote against it. If you said we're bringing this developer-funded scheme forward and it's going to be connected to our Bedworth to Coventry cycle route, that'd be great, that'd be useful. But what you're doing here is you're making it more dangerous, more polluting, and spending £6 million on it. And then, of course, the people who don't like cyclists will drive around the roundabout and say, there's no cyclists on that bit of cycle lane. Well, that's because it doesn't actually connect. You actually have to build a network. So I'm really asking that we obviously vote against this and get the connectivity right, but also we need to be doing this as an integrated project. This is where we're doing our jobs. Why can't people cycle there from Bedworth? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Condicourt. Any other comments? Debate. Councillor Finch.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say, Bedworth has seen significant infrastructure changes in the last few years. We're getting more. We're getting a bigger, better deal for Bedworth, and I think it's a great thing to see that the infrastructure like this is actually being there. People of Bedworth are really happy that things like this are happening in our town, and to make little knick-knack comments about cycle lanes, look at the bigger picture, look at what the people of Bedworth are prioritised on, and it's those infrastructure changes that can get them from Bedworth to Coventry where they work. The bus routes there are quite good. So if you want to talk about sustainable transport, bus lanes through there would be a good suggestion. But cycle lanes are not our priority at the moment. And with this development being put through with the roundabout, I think it's the best thing for Bedworth that we can see to get people into Bedworth, working into Bedworth, local infrastructure, especially with the £20 million that the previous MP, Craig Tracy, got for Bedworth. We can see that improvements being made in the town centre. We can get more people into Bedworth town. And that's the thing. If we're getting the traffic through Bedworth in an easier way, it's a better deal for the people of Bedworth. As a councillor, when I speak to people in the town centre, they actually are welcoming this change because they can get their cars through easier. It's chock-a-block all the time, especially at work hours when they're travelling to Coventry to get to work. But if it's a bigger roundabout, more space, people can actually get to work on time and earn more money.
Thank you, Councillor Finch. We have Councillor Chilvers, please.
Thank you. Back in the 1990s, the Department for Transport did a very large piece of work on what happened when you built bigger junctions and bigger roads. And what they basically found was that more people did more journeys to fill up those roads, and it became known as induced traffic. And so I haven't done this, because it's not my area, but if you go and have a look at the modelling and see when that junction would be back to being as as congested as it is now, you'll probably find it's not very long. So in my own area, on the edge of my own area on Europa Way, we've just finishing a £9 million project. But by our own modelling, it shows that it will be as congested as it was by 2029. So people might be happy in the short term, but all the evidence is in the long term it doesn't work. And that's why we actually only need to take a relatively small number of people to do walking and cycling for short journeys. And actually that frees up the traffic. And I just really want to support what Councillor Kondaka said. We shouldn't be doing cycling schemes which do a tiny little bit and don't connect to the network. And we probably do agree on that bit because we don't want that bit. So go and look at the evidence and let's actually put aside the dinosaur solutions and look for solutions that are actually going to work for the long term and stop the dangerous air pollution that is probably affecting us all across Warwickshire. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chilvers. Councillor Carvell, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is on my area and it forms part of the Longford corridor improvements into and around Exhall. You may recall at a previous meeting, I actually stood and spoke about the School Lane development, and there were various members of the public here, and there were councillors from the Neaton and Bedworth Borough Council who all felt very strongly about the School Lane development. This is literally only a few hundred metres away from the School Lane development, and the people that attended the public meetings with regards to School Lane are the same people at the residents' associations for the meetings for this area. There are no local issues around this development whatsoever that I'm aware of. And I'd just like to make that point. Nobody locally is concerned about it, and we're all very happy to have this development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Carvell. Councillor Feeney, please.
Thank you, Chair. It's a question possibly for portfolio holder. I accept she might not have the answer and it might be one to come back on. So I'll already preface that by I understand that. Just reflecting what the leader said, because one of the issues coming into Bedworth is actually coming up the Longford/Coventry Road. It's the Bayton Road Industrial Estate. There's a huge amount of traffic movement in there with HGVs. There has been some work done at the Black Horse Road Junction, which I know very well because I have to drive through it on a fairly regular basis. And I just wondered whether the traffic modelling had actually looked at what we were going to do the Longford Road to Bayton Road area, because that is a key critical concern for local residents. And I just wondered if you'd done any of the traffic modelling as to actually, does this island improve it, but actually separate to that, what improvements may happen for the people of Bedworth there, because that is a critical issue and people are kind of backed up in all directions there on that Bayton Road junction. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I haven't got any details now, but I will speak directly with the officers to make sure I come back to you with what you're looking for. Thank you.
Thank you for responding to that, Councillor Warren. May I have Councillor Warwick, please?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. An interesting debate and some sensible points. I'd like to thank the officers for a really detailed, sensible report. And we need to come back to the fact that this is a development that's been put in as part of a planning permission, and we're putting the money into the capital programme for the planning permission that has been agreed and consented with us as a consultee on that. And whilst I take the points on board, yes, it would be nice to see more provision around there, Keith, it would. This has been consented. The site is going to be built out. If this isn't dealt with, we're simply going to get even more congestion, and I know this junction well. It is a difficult junction at the best of times. So, unfortunately, we either turn this down, the site gets built, and we gridlock the area, or we approve this, the site gets built, and at least traffic keeps moving. So, I think the pragmatist in me says this has to be.
Thank you very much, Councillor Warwick. And may I have Councillor Morris, please?
Yeah, I'd just like to let everybody know that this is a development that's in Coventry over in West Midlands, and we are benefiting from it. So nobody in Warwickshire has actually passed the planning permission. It's been done through Coventry and West Midlands. So we are benefiting in Warwickshire with our junction.
Thank you for that clarification, Councillor Morris. Any other comments? May I call Councillor Stewart? Sorry. Councillor Bode, please.
Sorry, Chair. Perhaps when the portfolio holder gives her reply to the debate, perhaps she might like to answer some of these points. Because I think, to me, to spend all... I mean, we get this constantly in down where we are in Warwick and Leamington. Councillor Chilvers is quite right. Huge issue, a scheme that's just been finished around Europa Way, the Shires Retail Park. And I'm sure that more the people where I live up in the north will go, oh, can't face going to the Shires. Oh, traffic's awful. We'll think, oh, fabulous, it's all signed, it's all signalled now. I'll go 3 times a week. But the point about cycleways, and I know you don't like cycleways, you keep telling us you don't like cycleways, but if we need to get people out of their cars, and we really, really spend all this... I appreciate it may not be directly in our area, but this is a very busy, very crucial junction. And if we're not actually taking the opportunity to add in the active travel now, it will never happen, will it? Realistically, if it's not done now, it will never... Nobody's going to add cycle lanes into this junction. And I think Councillor Condrick was quite right. I think you'd be taking your life in your hands to try and cycle round this, particularly if visibility is, or it's dark or whatever. So can we have some answers, please, to explain to us why this scheme does not include proper cycling provision? And if it doesn't, perhaps the scheme should be taken back, and we should actually be looking at this again to make sure that it does, because with a lot of this stuff, there's one opportunity. It may be developer funded. We'll get the developers to do something about it. We mustn't be passive and just go, oh, this is fabulous. We need to be ensuring that action is taken and we're getting positive benefit for our residents and a positive benefit that will go on forever, rather than thinking about, oh, well, if only we'd done that, if only we'd asked them to do this, but now it's too late. So can the portfolio give us some really positive action that she's going to take to make sure that these things are considered?
Thank you, Councillor Bode. Councillor Warren, would you like to respond?
Yes, thank you for your question. Obviously, consent was given way back in 24th of May 2022, and I'm sure there have been many opportunities. I wasn't there or at the time or recently, so I'm quite happy to take away your observations and your questions and to look at that specific thing. That's what I'll commit to today, to look at it. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Councillor Warren. Anybody else like to contribute to the debate? Right, I'll ask Councillor Stewart Green to speak if you'd like to on this subject.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, taken all the points on board from all the councillors, and we'll take that back and I'll discuss with Councillor Warren and take it from there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Green. I would like to ask Councillor Warren to move the recommendation, please.
Propose to move. Third time lucky. Propose to move. I'll be better next time.
I mean, I appreciate you haven't been doing this for very long, but normally at the end of a debate like this, we would expect the portfolio holder to come back and answer the debate. I know you've been bobbing up and down during the debate, but I would expect you to come back and address the points, the very valid points that have been made by myself, by my Green colleagues, by Councillor Warwick, and actually give us a proper response. Where is the response? And Councillor Green says he's going to take it back and look at it. So you're withdrawing it, are you? Or you're amending it to say we're going to pause and look at it again? Because that's what your colleague has just said. So what are you actually doing? You're just taking no account. You're saying you're going to look at it again, and actually you're clearly not. You are going to just vote it through. So it's weasel words, I'm afraid.
Thank you for that. Would you like to respond at all, Councillor Warren?
Only that I made my position quite clear and that I will be following it through, as did Councillor Green. Thank you very much.
No more questions.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to draw a line there, unless there is a point of order to be raised.
Yes, point of order. It's very difficult to vote on without knowing what we're voting on. If the portfolio holder is going to look at it and perhaps look at amendments, then we shouldn't be voting on this now. Simple as that. Thank you.
I believe we've actually moved the recommendation as written. Is that correct? Yes. Then that is the item that we will be voting upon.
So I'm sorry. Another point of order. If the recommendation is being moved, then what Councillor Warren said is totally irrelevant, because nothing is going to happen. Is that correct? I mean, is Councillor Warren going to look at adding cycle lanes to this or not?
Sorry.
This isn't going to be a further debate at this point.
Chair, with your permission, can I just ask for clarification as to what is a point of order? And when somebody calls for a point of order, do they not have to constitutionally declare the chapter and the bullet, the subpoint to which they are making their point of order?
Yes, thank you very much for that clarification, Councillor Youssef. If you are going to raise a point of order, you should be raising the standing order reference. Can we have the standing order reference, please? Thank you for that humour. I appreciate that. It's certainly not 1.3, but there we are. We shall take a look to see if there is anything that matches. Just, I know you're enjoying this one. Right. Right. Well, I think we've come to having taken some advice. If you bear with me, please. This is very interesting. This is new to me. I'm sure it's going to be quite exciting for everybody here too. There was an opportunity at the very beginning there to take proposed amendments, and that was not taken. So we shall be, Councillor Warren has acted in very good faith and has said that she'll respond to the questions posed and consider them, and so has Councillor Green. The vote will move ahead based on the recommendation, and we'll be moving to that at this point. And unless there is a point of order with standing orders, we shall be moving to the vote, please.
I don't have a standing order, I'm afraid, but I do make a point of order, is that at the beginning of this, we were not aware of all the information that we are in now. So I would like to propose deferment regardless.
I don't think we should be taking that up at this time. Thank you for your comment. We are now moving to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? It wasn't done at the beginning. It's too late, I'm afraid. Yeah. And abstain? Yeah, we'll record it. Thank you. The motion, that's carried. We shall make note of what you said, Councillor Condacombe.